Good morning, everybody. Hope your coffee's as good as mine. Got a good show for you today. There's going to be some interesting stuff that we're going to talk about. You're going to get some Schadenfreude out of this one. There's some folks that just have some really not nice people that have fallen into some really humiliating situations. But folks, you know me. I'm not the kind of person. I'm the guy that comes to you with interesting facts, background information, all the good stuff, and I kind of tamp down the hyperbole. I lower the temperature a little bit. You know, you've got folks out there in social media and in the corporate media that are always pushing this fear mongering nonsense. Yeah, I'm the antithesis of that. I always tamp that down. That's not today. That's not today. You endangered girl. Let's talk about it. Folks, it's going to be a good show today. We're going to talk about everything from transgender pornography to Supreme Court justices to governors. Before we get started, though, there's a lot of information here. I'm going to put a lot of dots on the board for you to draw your picture. I need you to help me get this information out. I need you to hit the thumbs up button. I need you to hit that subscribe button so that the algorithm gets this to as many people as possible. Grab your cups, fill them. Let's do this. We got a hell of a show for you today. To start with, we're going to recap a few things that have gone on. You know, in a previous show, we talked about Putin. We talked about how he funds both sides of terrible things. He not only is he funding and supporting the bigots through his troll movement, through that kind of nonsense, you know, guys like this, like guys like Geert Wilders in the Netherlands. His troll armies are out there supporting guys like him. Meloni, the fascist in Italy, things like that. But then on the other end of it, not only is he doing that, he is funding these caravans, these immigration caravans. You know, folks, you don't get people from Sudan and Northern Africa and Syria crossing the Finland border without help. We've talked about that in prior shows. We've seen how that works. Well, folks, it's not just Putin. This is going on a gargantuan scale, a huge scale. Let's recap just some of it. You've got Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas is running around telling anybody and everybody that'll listen that he is a victim and he is picked on, and Washington, D.C. is terrible. They're just so wrong about what they're saying about me taking luxury trips, and why shouldn't I be given luxury boxes at sporting events and things like that? You know, what does it matter that these people that are giving me these things have cases before the court? And the organizations that these people fund have cases before the court. And just to recap a little bit there, you know, a lot of his luxury trips came from this guy, Harlan Crow. Billionaire down here in Texas, the progeny of Trammell Crow, the construction magnate. They made their billions in financing large construction projects. You didn't used to be able to drive around the state of Texas, or even the South for that matter, that you didn't see a major construction project that had a massive Trammell Crow billboard on it. I mean, they that's where their money comes from. And where are they spending their money? They're doing things like sending Clarence Thomas, on luxury yachts, letting him use their luxury yachts, flying his family out. They're doing things like buying his mother's property, uh, just all kinds of inappropriate crap that's going on with Clarence Thomas. But he's not the only one. It's everywhere. We just had a story break about Sam Alito. Here's Sam and his wife Martha Ann. And the reason I bring Martha Ann into this, I've always said the family's off limits. They really are. Unless they get in the family business, they're off limits. Well, Sam's here is in hot water. He's being told he needs to at minimum, recuse himself from the January 6th cases that come before him. Why? Because it turns out after the 2020 election, old Sam was flying the American flag upside down at his house. And I know there are folks out there that just don't do 24/7 politics like a lot of us do, that don't understand the magnitude of this and why it's so important. Well, it's not just that he flew a flag upside down. When he did it, that upside down flag had additional symbolism. It's already it was already a symbol for America is in trouble. That's what it means. If you go back to the military, we've got folks that serve that will explain in the comments exactly what an upside down flag means in military terms, but societally it meant we're in trouble. It was a statement of trouble. Well, it became the symbol for a specific movement. After the 2020 election, when Sam Alito did this, the folks that were engaged in the coup attempt were doing things like this. This was their flag. The January 6th folks were flying them. This is what they did. And this is what Sam Alito did. Of course, he blames his wife, Martha, the story that they're putting out now. And the reason Martha got drug into this, and I felt comfortable even bringing Martha up, is that Sam Alito blames her. He said, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I had nothing to do with the flag. It wasn't me. The flag flying at my house had nothing to do with me. It was my wife. She was in a dispute with a neighbor. Apparently, the neighbor called her a C word. And I say C word because, folks, I want you to be able to share this everywhere. I would normally just tell you what they called her, but you know what the C word is. I have never heard of someone being just arbitrarily called that. Don't think it's a good thing. Don't think it's a good practice. But I've never really heard of anybody like a neighbor calling another neighbor the C word, that there was not some sort of, you were engaged, put it that way. You were involved. And no, the C word is not Catholic. The neighbor had a daughter that went to some of the protests, the anti-Trump protests. And when she came home, instead of taking the signs inside, she put the signs on the front yard. This is what Sam Alito says as to why the flag was flown upside down at his house. The daughter came home, put the anti-Trump flags, and one of them had F Trump on it in the bushes in the front yard. So his wife was so upset that she flew the American flag upside down, which sounds like complete and utter crap to me, given that the other Supreme Court wife, Ginny Thomas, was so actively involved in this January 6th stuff. And the January 6th flag, if you will, was the upside down American flag. This, to me, sounds like a load of crap. It does. And no, crap is not the C word I was talking about. So yeah, you've got Sam Alito hearing cases before the court when he's flying an upside down flag, the same flag that the coup attempt, the insurrectionists, the people that were engaged in the coup were flying. And he's hearing cases. And I just want to draw a juxtaposition because I am so sick of we Democrats being held to a different standard. I want you to think about Sam Alito and that situation for just a second. I think the guy should resign, to be quite honest with you. Any Supreme Court justice that would fly a flag in support of a coup or insurrection has no business in the Supreme Court at all. But I want you to compare that to this. You know, a lot of you folks wrap my knuckles because I said these folks did nothing wrong. They were engaged as two adults in a consensual relationship, and they did nothing wrong. They paid for their own trips. You know, they didn't have a billionaire come in and pay for their trips. But no, folks, y'all really like, oh, it looks bad. They should have known better than to have two adults having a relationship that was just temporary, and it didn't go on during the whole Trump thing. But everybody's like, oh my God, they should resign. They should recuse themselves. Think about that energy. And they did nothing wrong. They didn't fly an upside down American flag in support of treason. They didn't. And everybody, because they're Democrats, because they are left of center, oh, well, this just looks bad. It just looks bad. Nothing looks bad about that, folks. This is all going on simultaneously. You know, Sam Alito is flying his upside down flag. And people have the balls to call for Fannie Willis to step down because she's just too biased. My ass. But it doesn't stop there, folks. It doesn't stop there. Sam Alito has his own patron, and I'm going to draw some parallels here. This is Paul Singer. You've heard me talk about him in prior shows before. The guy on the right in this picture is a billionaire by the name of Paul Singer. And, you know, that's Sam Alito in the middle. Taking his own luxury trips. This is a trip to Alaska that cost thousands and thousands of dollars. Not cheap, folks. It is not cheap to go up to Alaska to a lodge and go salmon fishing. And old Paul Singer just took Sam Alito. I'm sure he didn't want anything. I'm sure there was no quid pro quo or anything like that. But Paul Singer, and he's pretty active in politics, you know. I mean, he's the guy that you know, like I said, he's tallest hog at the trough at the Manhattan Institute. Who's the Manhattan Institute? Talked about it in a prior show. You folks in the comments know. They're the people that bring you this guy, Christopher Rufo. Who's Christopher Rufo? Christopher Rufo is the guy that's behind the whole anti-CRT thing. He's the guy that's against, you know, the whole anti-transgender legislation that they're passing here in Texas and all over, everywhere there's Republicans. They're doing the whole gay hate thing. That's all brought to you by Christopher Rufo, who is also funded by Paul Singer. Are you getting why these dots are important? And yes, Harlan Crow had Nazi memorabilia in his house. That's going to be important later. Pay attention to it, folks. Then we have Eileen Cannon. Eileen Cannon, the judge overseeing the Trump case. Well, Eileen Cannon. Can you believe that she also forgot to mention that she had luxury trips paid for that she never told anybody about? Yeah. Oh, she says it's a clerical error. It was just a clerical error. That's the reason she didn't tell you and me that for some reason a judge who is no particular scholar, that really didn't have the qualifications to be in her position, was appointed by the guy whose case she's overseeing, got sent on a luxury trip to Montana. And when I say luxury, I mean luxury, folks. This is the Sage Lodge in Montana. This is where Eileen Cannon had her trips paid to attend a conservative conference. Now, this is a nice place. I mean, it really is a nice place. And like they say, they bill it as paradise. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it is a really nice place. And I bet you can get a good meal there too. I bet you can get a good meal there. Oh, that looks nice. That looks nice, doesn't it? Whew. Man, it looks like, oh, now that's nice looking too. Huh. I bet Eileen Cannon could hear really well over that glass of Merlot. What do you think? What do you think, folks? I mean, there has to be a reason they hosted a conservative legal conference in the middle of Montana, right? I mean, there had to be a reason. I mean, who funds things like this? I mean, it's a nice place, isn't it? I mean, you can't afford to go there. You can't afford to stay there and eat, prime cuts of beef and prepared for you by 5-star chefs. No, but Eileen Cannon gets that trip. And who paid for it? Who funded this conference? George Mason University. George Mason University paid for it. The conservative university in Virginia. Why? Why would a conservative university in Virginia want to send a judge that really has no intellectual prowess? She's not an experienced jurist. She can't really talk to anybody about anything of consequence on the legal front, but she is the judge overseeing the Trump case. I mean, and who are the tallest hogs at the trough at George Mason University? Who are the billionaire sugar daddies that just throw millions of dollars at George Mason University? Well, that's Bernie Marcus. You know who Bernie Marcus is? He is that Home Depot far right wing freaky guy that keeps getting drawn up into all these scandals, saying horrific things. And Home Depot has to keep coming out and saying, Bernie Marcus is retired. He's not affiliated with our company anymore. Yeah, that billionaire, Bernie Marcus. And he's not the only one funding this stuff. The other guy is Bar Said. This guy, this billionaire. They're old billionaires. Old billionaire. Paying for trips, just straight out bribing. I mean, just bribing. Yeah, this guy made his money. He's from Triplite. You would recognize, I'm sure, if you're as old as I am, the old strips, the old strip plugs, the surge protectors, Triplite surge protector. That's him. That's Bar Said. That's Bar Said. That's where he made his money. And they're funding these trips and more and more. What else does Bar Said fund? Well, he gave $1.6 billion. We've talked about this in a previous show. To Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society. to establish an everlasting trust to fund this kind of nonsense forever. The Federalist Society was the other sponsor of that conference. $1.6 billion to the Federalist Society to ensure that they will be involved in shenanigans, right-wing, undercutting our democracy, undercutting our government forever. And how does the rubber meet the road there? It's things like this. Let me show you the Federalist Society membership page for this guy, Robert Hur. Yeah, that Robert Hur. The guy that wrote the hit job report on Joe Biden. Put in a bunch of salacious crap that no other investigator would put in there. Right now, and this is his Federalist Society membership page. Right now, you've got Republicans trying to hold Merrick Garland in contempt, for not turning over all the investigative material from Robert Hur's investigation. They gave them the transcripts of interviews. They want the audio tapes of interviews. We talked about this in the last show. They want the audio tapes so that they can attack Joe Biden. That's the kind of stuff they're funding, folks. That's the kind of stuff they're funding. And it doesn't end there. You know, we had another, here's where you're going to get your schadenfreude. We had Harrison Butker. There was a big kerfuffle about the speech he gave at Benedictine University. You remember? You've seen his picture. Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, telling women that, that are getting PhDs that this guy shouldn't be shining their shoes. They're so well educated. Telling them that they need to stay at home and in the kitchen and be in the kitchen and make babies. That they've been told a lie, that getting their education and going out and having careers is just, that's a big lie. It's a conspiracy to make women unhappy. I mean, why would women be happy going out, getting an education and doing what the hell they want to do? Attacked gay folks. Talked about what a great religious guy he is. And then immediately afterwards, of course, you've got people coming out on social media that are saying, hey, dude, I remember you from college. Weren't you the guy that had the gay relationship with the male cheerleader? You've got people making those allegations. And I have to tell you that God bless the gay community. They are on this. They are hot on this. You do. Just check this. This is the kind of stuff he's being trolled with now.
My inspiration was the prime of Miss Jean Brodie. I really love Maggie Smith, and I really just wanted to pay an homage to her in between games. Bitch, I'm serving you cankle. My ankles are my best freaking feature. How else do you think I am kicking these balls and making these goals if I didn't have freaking ankles of steel? I love a head-to-toe plaid, and I really wanted to pose with the worm from Dune. I'm sorry, I cannot hear you over the sound of my fierceness. Look at this freaking cream ass bag. It's my wife's favorite bag. Yes, my wife, it's her favorite bag, and she is in the kitchen currently making me dinner, which is where all of you should be right now too. This is one of my favorite outfits that I ever wore. I wore this actually to the Incel convention 2019. My grandma actually bequeathed this top to me, and it used to.
So you get it. I mean, he is just being absolutely roasted, and he earned every bit of it. He's complete jackass comments. Just, you know, and it's always something like this. Well, we've just had another incident come up. Nick Fuentes is a white supremacist. He is a bigoted white supremacist. He horrible human being, horrible. Always talking up Hitler and saying great things about Hitler. Well, let me give you just let you hear the man talk for himself. And he talks to young people, folks. This is part of what makes it so dangerous, is he talks to young people. He's a real bigot, but he says things like this.
The movement has to be Catholic. It has to be Christian. There can be no other way. Anything else is a complete waste of time. Anything that is indifferent about religion, anything that subordinates religion in some kind of completely misguided estimation to race or nationality or some other spook, some other version of identity, doomed to fail. Waste of time. Defiance of God. Forget about it. The movement has to be Catholic. The movement has to be shaped by people like this. Not beer-chugging hillbillies singing about how poor they are. I mean, borderline Marxist. Not a bunch of smarmy, too clever for their own good, tranny-loving Jews from New York City who are infatuated with the left and fucking pederasty. It has to be Catholic. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, but America's a Protestant country. Yeah, exactly. I don't think you even need to answer that. People say, but Nick, America's, you say you're America first. America's a Protestant country. Exactly. America, France were the beginning of the end for the whole project.
So yeah, he combines Catholicism and Nazism and white supremacy and all of it. That's his whole shtick. And yeah, the comment that you saw a minute ago, I was going to come back to that. Yeah, that's what happened. This isn't the first time. This is where we are today. This is what happened, and he doesn't deny this at all, folks. He doesn't deny this at all. Transgender porn. At the end of his show, when he was doing his closeout, it started streaming transgender porn. And I mean, like, I'm not going to play it because it's porn. I mean, even though it's censored, you can hear what's going on. It's porn. And this isn't the first time it's happened with him. A couple of years back, the same thing happened. Is he had a tab open and the camera, they clicked to different camera angles. I don't do that. I always talk to you straight on, but clicked to different camera angles, and it showed a porn video playing in the background. What looked like a woman performing for a man, on a man. Folks, being the folks they are, took screenshots of that porn and did internet searches and found out that was actually transgender pornography. It was not a woman. It was transgender woman. It was not, I say it was not a woman. It's a transgender woman. Wrong way to say that, Paul. So yeah, he's got a history of this, but what he claims is what he says. Now, to be fair, he has an answer for this. He doesn't say it didn't happen. It absolutely did happen, and everybody saw it. He can't deny that. But he says it's the Jews. The Jews did it. They hacked his feed, and they played it at the last little bit of his show. They played it. It's the Mossad, he said, that took over his show at the last second and streamed transgender porn. Yeah, that doesn't ring true with me. Let me explain how this works, folks. When I want to share something with you, I have tabs open in my internet browser. I have tabs open. When I want to share something with you, or I want the opening video intro or whatever, I've got a button for that, and I push it, and it streams what I want to stream. Like, say, this next clip, which is where this story is going. I hit the share screen button. I choose what I want to share, and then I show it. Like this headline. So I'm not really buying his Mossad hacked him routine, because then they would kind of just had to have had access to his browser and all that other stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't ring true to me. But this headline does. And God bless the Texas Tribune and their journalism. They are doing great work here. But yeah, this is old Nick Fuentes. You see him here, being hosted by a major PAC here in the state of Texas. Spent all day down there with major PAC, often praises Adolf Hitler, and they go through it all. They go through it all. He was hosted by Pale Horse Strategies down here in Texas. Who's Pale Horse Strategies? You knew we were going somewhere with this, right? Well, Pale Horse Strategies is chief operating officer is this guy, Jonathan Strickland. Jonathan Strickland. Yeah. Pale Horse Strategies isn't all that Jonathan Strickland is involved in. Pale Horse Strategies is a right-wing corporation, but he's also involved in several PACs, one of which is Defend Texas Liberty, who is famous for doing this. They're the PAC that during evil Popeye's impeachment dumped $3 million on our lieutenant governor, Dan Patrick. $3 million, boom. And then all of a sudden, the whole world turned on Dade Fallon, the guy that was actually the only Republican that was actually really trying to get evil Popeye out of the Texas Republican Party and taken out of his job. Suddenly, the whole world turned on Dade Fallon, which I don't care for Dade Fallon. I don't like Dade Fallon, but I'll give him props to this. At least he was trying to get rid of evil Popeye. And of course, we saw what happened there. We saw all the evidence put forward. We saw that, yes, absolutely, we had a contractor who was a donor for evil Popeye there in the middle, moved his mistress. It gave her a job, moved her from San Antonio to Austin to be closer to evil Popeye. Just dead to rights, work on his house. Just all the evidence was just laid out there, and it just all disappeared. Just Republicans said, we don't care. And I'm sure it had nothing to do with that $3 million that Jonathan Strickland dumped on the lieutenant governor right at the beginning of that impeachment. And who gave Jonathan Strickland $3 million to just hand out to Republicans? These guys. Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilkes are some of the biggest funders of Jonathan Strickland there is. These are the school vouchers guys. These are the guys that fancy themselves as preachers. They fancy themselves as preachers. Not kidding. Ferris Wilkes preaches at his Seventh-day Adventist church. Tim Dunn preaches at his church, and we've talked about it in form, showed all the projects that he funds in his church are also funding the group. That is funding Nick Fuentes, the gay porn guy. So yeah, I just kind of want you to understand when I say that Putin is the kind of guy that is funding both sides, he's not the only one. You know, you got these billionaires that are claiming to be the moral, you know, leadership of our nation. They claim everything they're doing is for God and Jesus, and that they're pastors, and they're rotting your churches. They're the same people that are meeting with people, white supremacists, gay porn watching people like Nick Fuentes. And to what end? I mean, you've got Jonathan Strickland here. Another look at Jonathan Strickland. You got Jonathan Strickland. What's he doing now? What's he doing right now for this election besides meeting with people like Nick Fuentes? Well, he just formed a new group, actually several new groups for this election. This is the chairman of the GOP here in Texas. He's stepping down to join this group with Jonathan Strickland, which we all know is funded by our local billionaires. Their group is called Ratmaster. Not kidding. Ratmaster. Ratmaster Holdings, LLC. You want to know where that comes from? That was Jonathan Strickland's gamer tag. Yes, Ratmaster Venture Fanatic. Ratmaster. That was his gamer tag, folks. Back, in the old World of Warcraft days, things like that, when they would be abusive online. He's very proud of the fact that that's what he did. He went from being a gamer troll to a Republican kingmaker. Because that's what Republicans are trolls. Republicans have no policy. They've got no policy. They have to invent things all the time. Just like this border stuff. Who do you think's funding that? You've got Kristi Noem, who is in deep. Her political career is over. Kristi Noem is done. So she's trying to renew herself. So what did she do? She runs down here to Texas. She's back down at the border, folks. Yeah. That's where she is. While you and I are doing this is Kristi Noem down at the border. That ugly low rent crap barrier that I showed you when I went down to the border and we shot video down at the border? There was actually nothing going on down there. Yeah, she's down there driving T-posts so that she can get back onto the narrative of an invasion. There's an invasion. Yeah, silly optics. Exactly. Silly optics. Good comment there. Silly optics. But folks, I'm here to tell you, it's not having the impact. And I told you as time would tell, the numbers would pan out, and this whole narrative, God, I love you folks. You are always so far ahead of where I'm going. You understand. I love you folks. You are brilliant. You are brilliant. Folks, the southern border narrative, the made up fake bullshit, isn't flying anymore. I mean, sure, the right wingers, always pander to the bigots, just like Putin does. Geert Wilders, support him in the Netherlands, man, because the bigots create immigration problems and then fund the bigots. It's their plan. It's what they do. And I promise you, folks, the whole southern border narrative has gone to crap. As I told you it would. They had, during Title 42, Trump put Title 42 in place. Turned out to be a disaster. They fought us. They sued us to keep us from repealing it. We finally got it repealed. And I told you, as soon as they repealed Title 42, immigration plummeted. Jamie B says, come on, folks. Less than half of us went away before I could finish reading it. Sorry. But less than half, immigration plummeted after we got rid of Title 42. It's just an issue that needs to be managed. And there needs to be reform done. We're trying to do that. But the Republicans won't allow it because they've told you to your face. Less than half of it. Hit that thumbs up button. Absolutely. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button also so that you can get this content. It's free. But folks, look, all of it is funded AstroTurf. And as God is my witness, right now, because the whole border thing is going away, because the numbers aren't there anymore. You can't claim there's an invasion. You can't keep talking about it because the numbers just keep going down and down and down and down. And it looks like a win for Biden if they keep talking about it. So they have to keep lying and they'll just say arbitrary things like it's an invasion. And anytime there's a crime or something like that, Fox News will run it for them. But I promise you, because it has died down, because it has slowed down, I promise you, the Russians and the billionaire frat boy club are funding a caravan that is being put together right now to bring this issue back to the forefront. They're doing it right now. I promise you. In the next couple of weeks, you're going to see on the news, and we're going to talk about it here. Thanks for the support, Barbara. I really appreciate you. I want to take a second to thank you folks that do support me here. Look, I'm telling you the truth here. This is not free for me. These old boys that I'm calling out, they don't play nice. Texas is corrupt as hell. It is. They don't play nice. And the fact that you folks support me so I can do this full time means everything. It means everything. Because this is not going to be free for me. They're going to come for me, folks. They are. I keep punching them in the face. They're going to come for me. That's just the Texas way. Cecilia Coleman, doesn't that lady have staff to fix in her own stuff to fix in her own state? Put that post where the sun don't shine. Exactly, Cecilia. Exactly. I was reading one of the South Dakota papers today talking about that very thing. She's back in Texas. She must be in political trouble because she ain't here working on problems. It's just the way it is. But folks, I really want to thanks for the support, guys. Thanks, Mike Bundy. I appreciate it. I live in SoCal. It's not a problem. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Abe, I appreciate you, Abe. Phantom Pup, thank you. I'm very grateful. You allow me to do this full time, and I can't thank you enough. Hopefully, we're just getting better and better and better. But let me land this plane where I'm going with this. Folks, these billionaires, they've given up on democracy. They have. They never really believed in it. The Republicans have never had a platform to bring to you that says, hey, vote for this. Vote for this idea. Never. It's always divisiveness and attacks and claims of victimhood. And oh, them Democrats, man, they're just trying to turn your kids gay. No, we're trying to keep you from hurting gay people. We're trying to keep you from hurting people that are just people out there just trying to live their damn lives. When you have people like Nick Fuentes claiming to be all Mr. Religion and all Mr. Catholic, this, that, and the other, and cloaking his hate, his bigotry, and all of it in the churches. That's what we're fighting. Hell, we're fighting for your church. We're trying to save it. Because the Republicans don't have policies. All they have is, look, we're going to hurt people for you. You know, all those immigrants that come over here that our farms hire and our businesses hire, we're going to hurt them for you, Mr. White Guy, because you feel bad about the fact that they come over here and work and you're a bigot. So we're going to be bigots for you. That's what the Republicans offer. Venture Fanatic says GOP will make new crisis to scream about. The 1% want to bring back the robber barons of the 1800s. They have brought it back. That's where I'm going. Thank you for saying that. That's exactly what I am saying. They are doing 100%. And the other one says, I wonder how you turn kids gay. I know, right? I know. It's insane. It's insane. And SMFH, thank you for the support. And that's the message. You need to be scared for our freedom right now. You really do. I am showing you, folks, they have bought Supreme Court judges. They have bought governors. They have bought legislators. You know, we talked about the other day, the old supper club reciprocation. You know, you take these people like Anna Paulina Luna that's never had a taste of the good life, and you take her and you let her have, you know, sit in a fancy dining hall, make her feel special. She'll do anything for these donors, anything. She'll say anything. I'm telling you, folks, I am telling you. We have to focus. We have to focus. We do. We just have to focus. There's nothing left of the Republican Party. All they are is one billionaire funded op after another, and they create astroturf crap to pander to people that are just low information people, that are just sorry people. You've got people that are bitter. I mean, folks, feel free to check out my social media. Every post I make, I put a post up the other day that was completely non-political. It was talking about the functionality of Outlook, the email program. And all I said was, it's ridiculous that a company as big as Microsoft cannot put a combined inbox function in Outlook. The horrific political crap, right-wing MAGA crap that flowed into those comments was insane. It was insane. It was all bots, all trolls. And it's all funded by the right wing. Why? And this is the important part, folks. This is the part that I need you to really, really get. They don't think they're winning anybody over with that. They don't. They think they're making people that are horrible happy with their bots that are programmed to say horrible. Thanks for the support, Francis. They're bots that are out there designed to attack people and say horrible things to people that are liberals and whatnot. That all that's designed to do is to make horrible bigots happy. And this is the important part, eat up bandwidth. Because I want you to think about all the points that we just talked about. All of those things that are going on simultaneously. How much time do you have to go get informed on? I'm doing this full time. You people, thank Christopher Garcia. Thanks, man. You just made it possible for me to bring all this together for you folks. High Yield Truth with Texas Paul. Thanks for the knowledge. Thank you for the support. But think about it. This is the strategy. Are the right wingers being attacked by? No. If a right winger goes and makes a post about barbecue or a software program, no, he does not get 100 bots that say you're a fat conservative. You're stupid. You're a pedophile. You're a commie. No, that doesn't happen. No, those are AI generated bots. And they appear on every left-wing creator's threads and anything you post on X. Actually, not Threads so much. Threads pretty much what makes it difficult for them. But X very much panders to them. But why? This is the part I want to get out. I want to make sure that we clearly understand this. What are they funding with that money? Why? It eats up bandwidth. You are a human being with only so much bandwidth. Newest Bill, thank you, my friend. I'm really glad you're here. You're always here to support me, and I'm very grateful. You only have so much bandwidth. You only have so much time, so much information you can take in because you've got a life to live. You've got a job to go to. You've got people to deal with. And even if you sit down to get information, you can only get so much. Thank you, Mr. Newton. I appreciate the support, my friend. Great comment. So if they can just muck up the waters, if they can just keep as much misinformation out there as possible, if they can keep making it unpleasant for you to come to my social media and get just straight talk like this. You've seen the trolls come in here. They're not making arguments. They're not making points. All they're trying to do is make this as unpleasant as possible for us to eat up bandwidth, to get your focus on that. Because they know the science of it is you only have so much time and energy to take in information. Mike Bundy says, you need bots. We got bots. Yeah, I hear you, brother. Thank you for the support. But that's what it's all about. To amplify astroturf shiny objects that pander to the worst in human beings. Because people don't show up to say thank you. I've said this before, and this is the truth. None of you are going to show up to vote to say, thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you for cutting the interest on college loans. Thank you for making sure that Ukraine doesn't fall and we don't end up in World War III. Thank you for that. That's not what you're going to do. Jersey IO says, this is for you in the name of the brilliant Jasmine Crockett. I love Jasmine. I love that we're getting fighters out there like Jasmine Crockett and Dan Goldman. And I mean, I love it. Thank you, Texas Paul. I'm in New Jersey, old lady in Texas, and you help keep me sane. Back at you, same thing. The fact that you folks are so far ahead of the conversation all the time, you have no idea how you keep me sane, because I have spent since 5 o'clock this morning doing nothing but rehashing and rereading this horrible crap. And to be able to come here and sit with you folks is everything. It is everything. Yeah, Jared Moskowitz. Love him too. I read your comments as we go. I do. I mean, I'm telling you folks, you keep me going. But do you get it? Do you understand? We're going to have a round table here. We got some time left, but do you get what I'm saying? Do you get why they're doing it? They don't have a policy to offer, so they have to appeal to the worst, the bigots. You get the guys like Nick Fuentes out there, Charlie Kirk. And they tell people, oh man, they just want you to take what little bit you got and give it away in welfare and all the same crap that they always say just to eat up the space. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate the support, man. I really do. Thanks for keeping us going, my friend. ET, only 24 hours less when you need to sleep. Flood the zone with crap. You need to use more of that very limited time to find the truth. Absolutely. That's it. That is it. That is the biggest win for them. And why do they fund it? If you're Bernie Marcus, you're an old bigoted, you just take a generic. You're an old bigoted white guy with money to burn because you have gamed the tax system and you've got a Republican Party that just makes sure you don't get taxed anymore. So you got lots of money laying around. What do you do with it? Who do you give it to? You give it to people that advance your bigotry. I mean, do you think these people, how do you think they talk about our gay brothers and sisters that are in our family? How do you think they talk about them? They push their character flaws on us constantly. Matthew, I appreciate the support. Jasmine Crockett is the best. She's got a great career. Salty Sylvester, scary when you have to search to find actual truth. Yes. And that's the point, my friend. That's the point. Something as simple as, let's do right by the people. I mean, think about it. We're the only first world nation that doesn't have health care, basic health care. Yet we consider guns a right, but not health care. They're winning, folks. They're winning. It works. What you have to do, and this is where I'm going to sum it up before we go to the roundtable. What you have to do, you have to look at results. Who's doing what? Not saying, not the conversations. Be damned everything I just told you. Take out your scale and measure. Who is doing what? Who is blocking what? Who is attacking who? Who is defending who? Democrats are saying, have your religion. I will die for your right to have your religion. Just don't force me. Republicans are saying, put my religion in your government. You got Nick Fuentes saying, this movement must be Catholic. Measure those things, folks, and vote on it. Vote accordingly. Drown out the noise and vote accordingly, because we are at a point in history where it is now dangerous. With the 2025 project, let me tell you what happens historically. If the Republicans take power this election, and you can take this to the bank. Thanks for the support, Tara. Thanks, JD. I really appreciate you. Let me be completely clear on this. There is absolute fact and historic example. If the Republicans take this next election, they will push forward with the 2025 project. And the first thing that these people learned every time in history someone has done what they're talking about doing in the 2025 project is that people say, no, we're not doing it. First part of the roundtable discussion is this. What do you think those governments then do to those people? And it's universal, and it's every single time. Thank you, Cecile. I really appreciate you. Once a government does what they're planning to do in the 2025 project, Every single time in history that is done, and the people, every single time you have a large segment of the population that says, no, we are not doing this. I don't care if you're the government. We're not going to implement fascism. We're not going to give up all our freedoms. What does that government do? Anybody got an answer? They start killing people. That's what they do. That's what they do. Without exception, they start killing people. They immediately start killing anybody and everybody that is any kind of threat. They do. And you have example after example. Pol Pot. Putin, for Christ's sake. You don't need to go back to ancient history. I mean, you don't have to go back to the fact that when the communists took over Russia and Joseph Stalin took power, he realized all of a sudden that not everybody wanted to do what they wanted to do. And he murdered 4 million people, 4 to 6 million people. Nobody knows for sure. It happens every time. She. You know, people look at him like he's just some other leader. No, he murdered no one knows how many people under the guise of drug addicts. They made being addicted to drugs a capital crime, and they just wholesale killed people. That's recent history, folks. Google it. Nevitz Forever says Trump wanted the National Guard to fire on the BLM rally. Yeah. What do you think they're going to do? Folks, I'm not asking you to go vote for Joe Biden. I'm asking you to go stop these people from killing your kids and you. Because there's no debate about what's going to happen. David, I love your moxie, man. I love your moxie. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. Because, folks, this whole nonsense that the right wingers say about, oh, I've got my AR-15 just in case I need to oppose this tyrannical government. Folks, read a history book. That doesn't work. Ever. All you're doing is like putting on the red MAGA hat, identifying yourself as the target. Yeah, I mean, yeah, even Nostradamus warned us. Yeah. Nostradamus warned us about Nostradamus. Yeah. So yeah, folks, normally I'm like, hey, don't worry, and this, that, and the other. No, you have an oligarch class here in the United States that have plain flat out told you, we're done. We're not doing this democracy stuff anymore. We've gotten everything we want, and it ain't enough. You damn people keep wanting us to be nice to them gay folks. You people keep wanting us to not tell them women they got to stay home. What are you doing telling them women they can go out and get jobs and make their own choices? They're not having that, folks. Michael Blaney says it worked in France. That's about it. Jeanette Dahl, thank you. Thank you. One of our great Danish friends here says, are there some former Republicans in Texas, like there are in other states, have seen quite a few who say they will vote for Biden? Yes, that is one of the things that we can draw hope from. I've talked about it multiple times on the show, that yes, there are Republicans that are not clueless, that are looking at this and saying, I'm not going along with this. I'm not doing it. But you cannot rely on them. You have to vote. Folks, they will burn the world. Trina Longa says, sorry, I can't vote, but I'm trying to donate to the Democratic programs. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Follow the law. Just that's all I ask. Follow the law. Follow the law. That's all I ask. The support is fantastic because, folks, our international audience, if you're listening to me, let me tell you something. America is a war tribe. We are. We are. We have perfected war to an extent. We could end Russia in a month. You have no idea. That's just the stuff you know about. You have no idea where we have spent damn near $1 trillion every year just perfecting war. And we are this close to it falling into the hands of fascism. When I say the world will burn, I mean the world will burn if this happens. I am not asking you to go vote for President Biden. I'm asking you to vote against fascism. I'm asking you to vote for your children's lives. Liz Allen says, we are either riding with Biden or colluding with Putin. Amen. Amen. Folks, and I will tell you, just to draw a difference, the U.S. military has made the first deliveries into Gaza of aid. If Trump gets his hands on power, he's already told Benjamin Netanyahu, kill them all. End this. Those were his words, not mine. End this. What do you think happens in the Levant when that happens? All the peace, all the work going with all of the surrounding nations, with Saudi Arabia, with Egypt, everyone. What do you think happens? It is not hyperbole. I normally tell you, don't worry about this, don't worry about that. This is much ado about nothing. Folks, I am telling you, if we lose this next election, the world burns. Thank you, Mr. Bundy. I appreciate the support, my friend. And it's like nothing you've ever seen, folks. It's like nothing you've ever. Go read the accounts of the Battle of Conoco Fields. The Russians and their much vaunted Wagner group attacked an oil refinery held by the United States military. Yeah, we've actually swapped. We've actually fired at each other before, folks. Go read about the Battle of Conoco Fields. This is not ancient history. This is just a couple of years back. They were trying to take an oil refinery, which we had control of, and we decimated them. They found communications from the Russians. They were, of course, keeping track of their communications. We have that ability. And they were like, how's it going? Are you making it any advances? And they're like, no, we're getting our asses blown away with artillery, with airstrikes. We're getting the crap kicked out of us. He said, well, what kind of forces are you facing? I mean, what's the strength level? And does anybody know I love how you folks know. Do you know anybody know what their response was? What they said the force they were facing was? They said it was two guys with a coffee pot calling in airstrikes. That's who they were fighting. Two guys with a coffee pot calling in airstrikes. And they weren't far off. There were not a lot of Americans there. There were Marines there. Absolutely. There were some Marines there. God love the U.S. Marines, man. But they weren't far off in their assumption. I'm telling you, the American military is a devastating thing when it's cut loose. And you do not want Trump, who has told you, we're not going to let the establishments that held us back last time hold us back anymore. They're telling you. I'm not telling you. They're telling you. So yeah, again, I like Biden. I'm voting for President Biden. I think he's been a great president. I think he's done a great job. I think he's strengthened Europe. I think that he understands that Europe is suffering right now because of the energy crisis that this whole war created. I mean, the man understands. He understands what's at stake in Ukraine. He understands this has to end soon. People just can't keep enduring this. But he understands the situation. He's a decent person and a real leader. So yeah, that's what I've got for you today. Anything that you'd like to talk about, we're more than happy to continue on the roundtable with anything that you'd like to talk about. I love that comment. Biden is the greatest president of your lifetime. You know, that may very well be true. Historians rate him, I think it's 14th, as our 14th greatest president so far. And he's not even through with his first term. They consider, those same historians rate Trump dead last as our worst president. Thank you, Victor H. You know, $35 insulin capping the Medicare costs for insulin at $35 is life-changing for a lot of people. Thank you, Something Blonde. I appreciate you backing me up there. This just isn't an option, folks. This just isn't an option. There can't be, you know, and they're trying to fund it. You've seen it in the I'm not going to vote for Biden movement, you know, from, you know, folks upset about what's going on in the Middle East and stuff like that. That's all right-wing funded. That is all right-wing funded. Any crack they can try to create, they're going to. Yeah, Willie Weed. Everybody talks about the polls, and nobody can explain why Nikki Haley is absolutely destroying these polls. Because it's exactly what you were talking about earlier. There is a group of Republicans that are saying, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're going to keep our democracy. We're going to keep moving in the right direction. We're going to keep having a brighter future where we're all just getting along better and better and better. And there's more freedom and more education and more infrastructure being built. Republicans have nothing to offer but servicing their patrons. That's it. That's it. Paula Knowlton, happy birthday. Everybody wish Paula a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Paula. I hope you have a great day. And I'm sorry to have such a scary show on your birthday, but thank you for being here. And thank you for celebrating your birthday with us. I can do, you know what? I am going to do a whole show. I'll do a whole show on the dynamic between the Saudis and the Iranians. Right now in the Middle East, there is a brutal conflict, both hot and cold, a cold war going on between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Putin was masterful for over a decade in working both ends of that conflict. And we made some missteps there. We did. Our foreign policy, we made some missteps there. We really did, to piss off the Saudis to a degree. But yeah, there absolutely, there are some allegations that I'll just do a whole show on it. I will answer your question in an entire show, Linda. I will. But let me just say this. There is both hot and cold conflict going on between Iran and Saudi Arabia over supremacy in that region. Yeah, no kidding. How much more would our largest oil refinery is owned by the Saudis. Thank you for the support, folks. I really appreciate it. I really do. This is not free, and I have no illusions. These people don't play nice. They don't. I know I'm going to get punched in the mouth one day. I am. You don't go after guys like Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilkes and call them out for their bullshit forever without something eventually happening. Daniel Perry. Daniel Perry. I was very vocal about that in the beginning, the first time he talked about it. Folks, Daniel Perry drove his car into a crowd during the BLM protests. He drove his car into a crowd, and he didn't have, I've been at that intersection before where this happened. There were lanes open. He could have driven around this crowd. It wasn't like he couldn't. He chose to drive into this crowd. His social media showed that this is what he wanted. And a guy that was legally carrying a gun, which I think is the stupidest damn thing in the world, he was walking around the streets with an AK-47, approached the car, and Daniel Perry got out of his car and murdered that man. And I say murdered him because I have to tell you, if there's a shootout between somebody with a handgun and somebody with an AK-47, the guy with the handgun loses. That tells me that was not a shootout. That was a murder because the wrong guy died. Was he stupid for walking around with an AK-47? Yeah. Did he deserve to be murdered for it? No. No. Especially when right-wingers are talking about their right to carry guns, got to strap up in public. This guy drives into a crowd, and when the crowd surrounds his car, he jumps out and he shoots a man. And Greg Abbott just pardoned him for that. Because the message is really clear. You can kill them. BLM protesters, you can kill them. That's okay. That's a message that was sent. That's a message that was received. You know, at this point, I don't know that they even would. I really don't, because then you'd have to literally litigate everybody's intent. You'd have to relitigate that entire case, and I don't know that they would take up the case, to be quite honest with you. Matthew Preble says, Republicans are trying to attack Bidenomics in Ohio. Don't think it's working. Very weak ads. They don't have anything to run on, folks. They really don't have anything to run on. Inflation has come down. All that they're going to do, you're going to see some spectacle happen. You're going to see Putin and the right-wing billionaire frat boys are going to, I'm banking on it's a caravan. I really am, because the whole southern border thing has gone away. Inflation's at 3.4% and coming down. It's trending downward. I love you folks that you're so informed. I'm just going to leave you with this. I hate people that aren't genuine. And it really bothers me when I say things like, I love you people. When I say things like, you are better than they are. Because I feel like somebody somewhere is going to feel like I'm just saying shit to try to make you feel good. I'm not. Asborn Nugent says cost of medicine. I'm sorry about that, Asborn. I didn't get to read it, but everybody got to read your comment. Thank you for the support, my friend. Let's end it on a positive note. Texans steel blue. Amen. This is where I'm going with that. I want to leave this on a positive note. Folks, look at these people. When you see the horrible things that the trolls put in our comments, and yes, I'm telling you, those are made up. Those are fake people. Those are a program designed to just respond to right-wing creators and try to blunt their influence. But look what they say and who that message is for. So when I say you people, you've got to win. You do, because you are good and decent people. And if we're going to have a good and decent future, it's got to be based on you people and your politics. Because like the question we had earlier, no, there is not a flip side to this coin. There is not a liberal bot army out there to tell conservatives that they're complete pieces of shit about everything that they say. That doesn't exist. It's only the right wingers. So consider that. What is that for? What kind of people does that excite? Michael Thomas, thank you. I appreciate you, man. Love to you and Mr. Texas Paul and all y'all. Amen, brother. That's where I'm going. When I say you're good people, you're good and decent people. And that's a great question. You know, man, I'm the one that always says, jump in the ditch and fight. When they go low, jump in the ditch and fight with them. It's not who we are, man. We don't just say, shitty things to people. We'll argue a subject. We'll argue a policy. We'll call somebody out that says and does something shitty, but that's not who we are to just have a program written to auto respond to some guy on the right when he talks about Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's just not who we are. And it wouldn't be effective anyways, because it wouldn't excite you. And that's my whole point. Because you really are better people. If our society is going to flourish and grow and be a bright, beautiful future, you folks have to lead it. You folks have to lead it. And folks, in a democracy, that means voting. More than anything. Volunteer, yes. Support folks like me, support folks like Midas, support candidates, definitely. But more than anything in a democracy, you have to vote. You just have to. Folks, enjoy some Texas cities at night. Thank you for being here. Love spending time with you. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful week.